Welcome to our Rolemaster actual play session. Twilight of the Old Order and Ain't No Place for a Hero are two campaigns currently co-joined, set in the world of Duranarki, the continent of men. In this gritty, cutthroat world, politics, religion, and commerce are all intertwined and reign supreme. Characters need to be both smart and ruthless to survive. We hope you enjoy our story, and, as always, may the dice roll in your favor. This is episode 136 of Twilight of the Old Order and episode 113 of Ain't No Place for a Hero. The two parties have departed Jewel Island and now are in the free city of Landena, where they are turning their attention to where next and what to do regarding their slain friend, Karios. We rejoin our heroes after being waylaid in a brutal dockside fight. Tarquin, Grey, and Nicholas have finally managed to preserve Karios' rotting body from further decay. Hello, I'm Chris, otherwise known as GM Chance, and it is the words say on screen, welcome to our story, and as I now very repetitively say, welcome to our two stories, our two tales. We have two campaigns, both set in the same world, at the same time in the same world, with broadly the same plot lines. They've been running both for some time. Both have 6 characters in each, and up there on screen you can see all 12 characters from the two games. First campaign is called Twilight of the Old Order. Second campaign is called Ain't No Place for a Hero. The stories have interwoven with each other, and this is now the third occasion where the two parties have spent time together, worked together, fought alongside each other, bled alongside each other. And we're going to be picking up the story where both these two campaigns, both these two tales go a bit further on tonight. In a second or two, I'm going to hand over to the players of those faces up on screen to introduce their characters a bit, and then a little bit later on, I'm going to ask each one of the players to again just provide a bit more detail about their characters, answer a question or show an image that fleshes out the character a bit more. Before I do, our regular both thanks and just encouragement to the people that watch this channel. We have a growing number of people that are following us, commenting, providing thoughts, ideas, insight, and just general encouragement. A massive thank you to everybody out there in internet lands for the comments that you've made. This is our hobby. We do this for fun. We do it for our own pleasure and our own enjoyment and our own love of escapism and fantasy. The fact that there are other people out in the world that enjoy what we do makes it even better. What we'd say is, if you've stumbled across this video perhaps for the first time, or maybe if you've seen one or two of these and you're liking what you see, we'd really love either a like down below or even better, a subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Thanks very much. Okay, as mentioned before, we're going to hand over to the players of the faces that you can see up on screen to introduce their characters for us. And we have a pre-recording, and the pre-recording always starts off with Pete. Pete, take it away.
Hi, I'm Pete, and in this episode I'll be playing Leif. Leif is a half-elf warrior mage, which means he uses weapons as well as magic. He's a friendly fellow, very empathetic, and a really kind member of the party.
Kia ora, I'm Mason, and for this episode I'm playing Demos. He's a very attractive, very hunky, very buff mixed man. Really great with his spear and shield, and he can whip out some swords if he needs to. He's not the most intelligent person, but he makes up for it with a lot of kindness, a a lot of gentleness, except for when he's fighting. And he's been with the party for a little while, has thoroughly enjoyed his time with them, is very much looking forward to saving the world. And on the side, he is looking and hoping to find his long lost sister that was kidnapped a long, long time ago.
Hi, I'm Graham. I play Nyathonel Sherakir. She is a Magent, which is a mix of stealthy skills, fighting skills, and magic skills, mentalism, magic of the mind. She is a complex character, something of a religious fundamentalist who believes in assassination as a sacred endeavour. She keeps that well hidden, however. She is, however, a dab hand with a short sword and uses her magic and sneaky ability to good use in sneaking up on her adversaries.
Hi, my name's Giles, and for this episode I'm playing Tarquin. So Tarquin is a young, ridiculously good-looking half-elf. During his early life and adolescence, he's been well-trained in the gentle arts of thievery, charming others using his remarkably good looks, and of course, violence. He is in his own way a religious man, and he's out looking for some understanding as to what's happened to his homelands.
Kia ora, I'm Alex, and for this episode I'm playing Karios. Karios is a young North woman. She's a weather mage, a pretty powerful weather mage with some very cool spells. She's quite sweet and kind, a bit emotionally labile, but wears a heart on her sleeve and a strong moral compass. She also has a companion, a cat called Victory, who's a very important member of the party, and Victory was rescued, oh there's Victory, a wee while ago from impending doom.
Hello, I'm Graham. I play Etienne Gilderflower. He is a genitrist, which is a type of paladin or holy warrior. He follows the teachings of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and he believes that her will leads him on, and he makes decisions based on the dreams he receives or thinks he receives from his goddess. He has joined the party on the mission to, as he understands it, to save the old order, the world as they know it. He is a very charming, very good-looking man, a very eccentric man. Speaks in riddles and rhymes most of the time, but he believes on a higher purpose. He's a very dab hand with a sword, usually found in full plate.
Kia ora, I'm Pete, and I'll be playing Mithan in this episode. Mithan is a ranger. She's a high man. She's pretty good at outdoor skills, and she's a pretty good archer. She's not a people person. She doesn't really care about people's feelings, although she's beginning to in this party.
Hi, I'm Aiden, and I'm playing Gray. Gray is a very handsome half-elf who doesn't really believe in wearing shirts. He's constantly just displaying his body all the time, which, you know, he's got it, so he's flaunting it. He's got a bit of a tragic backstory. Pretty much everyone he's ever really cared about has been murdered brutally, but despite that, he's still a lovely guy. He's very caring, cares a lot about his teammates and also animals, loves animals, as he is a beastmaster, so he has the power to kind of, I don't know, not control, well, he can control animals, but he can also kind of interact with them and understand them and get them to help him do what he needs to do. And when he's not using his magic, he is a bit of a dab hand with an axe. He is very good at chopping things, chopping enemies, and also good with a little bit of stabby and a crossbow as well. He has a bird called Wingy that is his best friend that needs to have a bit more of a story, I guess. She'll come into it a bit more like down the road, I think. Yeah, that's great.
Hello, I'm Graham, and I play Severin Kaidegard, who is a human swordsman, a dab hand at the sword, spent his whole life training in swordsmanship. He is a very charming fellow and fancies himself as a bit of a leader.
Hi, I'm Stara. I play Jada. She's a 6'7" Arab-looking woman. She fights with a quarterstaff, but not often because she's a healer. She grew up in a monastery where they adopted her, and she has just been taught how to heal, do martial arts. That's all she's done her entire life.
Hello, I'm Graham, and I'm playing Tanya Anastasia, who is an elven hunter. Dab hand with a bow. She has some outdoor skills, some very adept sneaky skills, and is an interesting personality, a little bit spiky, a little bit difficult to know, but inside, a good egg.
Kia ora everyone, my name's Anthony, and for this episode I'm playing Ascalion, or Askel for short. He's a tall half-elf warrior mage who comes from the port city of Shabibi, and accordingly his favourite weapon is his ornate cutlass. As a warrior mage, Askel combines his offensive and defensive spells along with his prowess with his cutlass and in unarmed combat.
Kia ora, my name's Pete, and I'll be playing Nicholas in this episode. Nicholas is a common man and a mentat by profession. That means he is a spell user, and he uses spells from the mentalism realm. Nicholas is a quiet and sort of unassuming sort of fellow. He doesn't like to draw attention to himself.
And there we have it. Hopefully those characters, those faces up on screen mean a bit more to you now. So this is a Wednesday night. We play typically on a Wednesday. Generally a bit earlier in the week, I send out several questions out to the players for them to chew over. And the idea of these questions is to provide a bit more insight, a bit more understanding into the characters that they're playing. And they either have the option of answering a question or perhaps sharing an image that relates to their character's past or perhaps present or even future. And kicking us off tonight to either answer a question or share an image is Anthony. Anthony, take it away, please.
Yeah, for Askel, he's looking at the question, what is one of your character's favourite places in the world? So for him, it's port cities. It's where he came from, Shabibi, just because he spent a lot of his childhood running around the docks and getting up to mischief, etc. So yeah, it just harkens back to a simpler time.
Okay.
That's Askel.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And who would you like to hear from next, please?
Let's jump to Giles.
Giles.
Thank you very much. So the question for Tarquin tonight is, how would your character react if faced with an enemy who shared a personal connection or history with them? Tarquin doesn't do enemies very well, or at least doesn't do living enemies very well. So I think he'd probably react with extreme violence, unless he knew that his enemy was considerably stronger than him, in which case he'd probably do his best to do something about that. Get them drunk, charm them, and then do away with them, I suspect. And I will hand over to Graham.
Graham.
Hello. I'll do an easy one. The treasured possessions for each of the characters. Severin, he's by profession a swordsman, and he's entirely predictable, therefore, that his prized possession is his sword, which he spent a ridiculous amount of gold on. And it is his pride and joy, and if he's not swinging it around practicing, he's polishing it or sharpening it. He's constantly taking care of it to clean it and make sure it's okay while he whistles his Time of Folk songs. He's perfectly happy doing that. It's his pride and joy. Actually, likewise, Etienne is quite happy with his relatively new sword, which is a holy sword, so that's his sort of holy object. So again, he treats it with some reverence. He hasn't had it that long, but given it's able to sort of spout fire, he's quite impressed with that. Nyathanor, meanwhile, she is extremely thankful for her PowerPoint multiplier, which has opened up her abilities quite a bit in terms of being able to cast more spells, and so she finds that particularly valuable. It's definitely the most precious thing she has. And tenure, again, it's all very predictable, but she also spent a lot of cash on a bow, and so that is always in her hand. And actually, interestingly, she has a couple of magical spells built in, and she's used the presence a fair few times, but she hasn't yet used the intuition, and I don't think yet, which is an interesting one because I'm not quite sure how that would play out, Mr. GM. But it's an interesting one.
I'd have to look over the spell, but hey, let's try it and see what happens.
Well, you kind of have to. It's sort of a prediction of what will happen if you do something.
Oh right, okay. Let's see. Very good.
So I don't know how that works.
Maybe take it offline.
Can I hand over Sarah, please?
Sure.
So, got some pictures for Jada.
I do. I had lost them a second or two, but I have now found them again.
We have the one with her in it first.
Yeah, just coming.
Yeah.
Just coming. Okay. Yeah, cool. Got it. So not my usual way of sharing, but there we go. We can see. Hopefully, we can see that now. Go for it.
Oh, I didn't notice that she's blonde. Okay, she must have dyed her hair. So again, this is Jada at the monastery where she grew up. That is what she trains with. That's her quarterstaff.
Oh.
And the next picture is a picture of her quarterstaff. Sorry, I should have just sent one picture.
That's all right. No, it's all good.
Having fun with the AI.
No, it's good. I love the fact that we've got some images. Next picture is a picture of her quarterstaff, really?
It's supposed to be.
Okay.
I did it in a hurry. I hope it is.
I wasn't quite sure what it was, so...
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. It's a type of quarterstaff she trained with.
Okay.
Yeah. Very unusual.
A short quarterstaff. There you go. With a blood spatter there. I was curious to find out what
They
it
didn't
was.
do blood, so I was trying to say like red dye, red paint, and this is all I could get. It looks anything like blood. Okay, so quarterstaff. Why she likes her quarterstaff? Why she's happy to use it is it just looks like a piece of wood, so it's kind of socially acceptable to carry around. And compared to a sword, it's quite light and speedy and heaps safer to train with. So she trained with that till she was 15. Very good at it. She also likes that not only does it not look like a dangerous weapon, but even when you do use it, it always sort of gives off the look that she doesn't actually want to kill you, which kind of fits with her personality. So if she can't kill you, she won't. Yeah, sometimes she loses it. But so the picture we had before, she set that up herself and put that stuff there to look like blood, and she used to imagine fighting her bullies all the time. So the other kids that trained weren't like that. She got bullied, so she had that little bit of extra sort of crazy in her. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Hey, loving the images. Keep them coming. Absolutely keep them coming. And just as a heads up for you and perhaps some of the newer players, there is a mechanic in Rolemaster that you, and I'm pretty sure you've played it, but just to let you know, you can always pull your shot. So you can decrease your attack by 20 and basically make a more cautious attack. And that means that if you get a killing result, so in other words, if the critical that you roll would normally break someone's neck or kill them, you can actually change that down to incapacitation or unconsciousness or whatever. So there is a mechanism within Rolemaster to make it less deadly if your goal is to subdue somebody. There is one caveat, and that is that if you roll 100, that's an accidental kill. But just as a heads up, perhaps if Jadar is next fighting with her staff and she doesn't want to actually cause a mortal injury, always that option. There we go. Thank you. And who would you like to hear from, Sarah?
Can I hear from Pete?
Pete.
Oh, thank you. That was really interesting. Nice to hear her reasoning behind the quarterstaff. That's cool. So I'd like to answer for Leif. The question: how would your character react if faced with an enemy who shared a personal connection or history with them? If they were an enemy in the past, then you would just treat them like an enemy. Would just go, whatever the situation called for. If that was someone who they had a connection with or history with that has since become an enemy, it would be a difficult thing. It would be a different matter for Leif. He would really want to. I mean, it was clear that they were out to kill him. He would kill them back. But if there'd be any opportunity in his judgment to understand them better, to reconcile with them, to negotiate, he might well take it. So he's, it depends on the circumstances, but he wouldn't just be happy with just assuming that they're an enemy now, that's it. For Mithan, the question is, if given the chance, would your character change their race or species? Why or why not? She wouldn't. She sort of wouldn't get that question. She is who she is, and she is happy with who she is, confident in who she is. She is just who she is. But I did want to answer this question because she does have an odd liking for elves. She had good experiences with elves when she was younger. They had compassion on her and treated her well. So whilst she doesn't necessarily want to be an elf, she would like to be around elves more. For Nicholas, just to answer that race question briefly, no, he wouldn't choose to change species to anything non-human because they're being gunned for by Tarong. And the current political climate, it doesn't help to not be human. But really, for his question, how does your character handle stress or pressure, especially in life-threatening situations? Nicholas goes and finds one of his colleagues to hide behind, basically. Yeah, I mean, he is not a particularly physical person. He is not a tough person, particularly. He's built up his sword skill to try and defend himself, but he doesn't put a lot of stock in that for himself. He's not necessarily a coward, but he does believe in preserving his own life. He'll go and hide behind someone and then attack, do his own stuff to try and attack people.
Cool.
Yeah. Can we please hear from... we haven't heard from Tarquin, have we?
We did, briefly.
We did? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought... sorry, my mistake. Demos, then.
Hello. I have a picture, but
great.
Can I put it in the chat, or do you want me to send it to you?
No. Put it in the chat. Definitely put it in the chat. Cool. Very good.
Right. One moment, team.
I'll just bring it up. That's the best one, I think. Or is that the best one? That's the best one.
I think it's that one. Hopefully.
Cool.
So, this is a picture... Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a picture of Demos's sister, Mayra. When this is kind of the last image he sort of got of her. She probably looks a lot different now because he hasn't seen her for years because she was kidnapped many, many years ago, but she's kind of one of the reasons he's out and about, and he's gone to look for her. Yeah.
What happened to her?
So when they were very little, they were out playing like they always do, and they heard some commotion. They saw another young girl being chased. So Demos and his sister went over to help, and kind of amongst all the chaos managed to rescue the girl being chased. And in that, I think the kidnappers or whoever got confused and ended up taking Demos' sister. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the not nice thing. The girl that he saved was actually a princess, so he ended up going to sort of live with her and her family and kind of became like a bodyguard for her. And he grew like a very sisterly bond with the princess. But then she got married off, and he kind of had no real purpose anymore. So he was like, right, I'm gonna go find my sister and see if I can find her.
And to just kind of round that off, the the royal family that he served in his in the Sea of Thibron, which is the south of here, had, you're not quite sure what, commercial links, family links to a very, very wealthy man in a free city in Ely, and that man was called Costas Petrides. And Demos ended up working for Costas Petrides for a time, and that's where the party actually found him.
Yeah. And he's forever grateful. Because, yeah, he felt kind of trapped with the Petrides family, so he's grateful that the party came along and he was able to kind of head off with them.
Go and commit religious assassination with him. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, and all that, you know, all that other weird stuff that's kind of going on. He's a bit freaked out by it, but he's kind of like, he's learning to take it in stride.
There you go. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Now, we've heard from everybody, I think, except for Gray. Now, Gray's player, Aiden, is not present. Alex, you're very kindly playing Gray tonight. I don't want to put you on the spot unduly. Did you want to speak for Gray, or did you want to just move on?
Oh, no, put me on the spot. I'd love to give it a go, and obviously happy to be corrected by Aiden next game. So I'm going to answer the question, what is your character's favourite place in the world, and what memories or emotions does it evoke?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, from what I know about Gray, that he hasn't got a specific geographical favourite location. I think it's the favourite people. The people are his place. Mm-hmm. And I think his favourite place in his life is where he is right now with the people he's with. He's had a pretty rough upbringing, quite poor, illiterate. Now, I don't know if that was an unhappy upbringing. It doesn't sound appealing, so I've just made that assumption, so happy to be corrected. And then his parents were murdered when he was a young lad. I think he was a young teenager. And then so that, if that was a happy place with his family in the circus, then that ended. And then he found another happy place when he went bush, and he met up with sort of this wizened beastmaster who took him under his wing and sort of saw something in Gray of himself. And I think Gray kind of came back to himself, came back to the humanity, came back to the sort of humanist perspective that he had. But then the Beastmaster, now I can't remember if he died or he was also killed.
He was brutally murdered with a dart, with a.
I
wonder if there's an
image. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Gray's parents were murdered with that dagger. Gray shared this with us. Aiden shared this with us last time, I think, or the time before. And there was also his Beastmaster was killed with a dart that was thrown at him, which looks. If I've got it, actually. I don't want to spend too much going aside. No, sod it. No, I don't have it to hand. Of course I don't have it to hand. So, sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, all good. So I think, and now, and looking, his goals are very justice orientated and slightly revengey.
Slightly revengey.
As per Tay-Tay, don't get sad, get even, with a great cat's eye. But I think his favourite place is actually people and the connection he has with people, like he wants to belong, is my understanding, but I could be wrong. But that's my take on it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well met, all well introduced, and Alex, thank you very much for. Thank you, Pete. Thank you. I'm assuming that's Pete. Was that Pete?
Yeah.
Pete.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, Pete. Yes, indeed. That is indeed the dart. A strange dart which Gray returns back from out hunting one day, and yes, indeed, his Beastmaster had been slain with said dart. Excellent. Really appreciate you putting that up. Thanks, Pete. So that is the team up on screen, all 12 of them. Pete, as per usual, could you just give us a quick rundown? I'll try to complement some of what you're saying with images, but let's see how we go, if I can.
Sure thing. Thanks. Cool. So last session began with Jada, Tarquin, and Ray having just had a negotiation about sourcing healing for Karios, or preservation for Karios, at the Temple of Hera, and they made their way back through the streets of Landania to the ship, and something happened along the way. I wasn't there. Tarquin, can you take over, please?
Sure. So they were hurrying a little too fast. Tarquin took a wrong turn. They were accosted initially by 2 brigands. Pretty quickly, as the picture shows, thanks, 2 became 5. Tarquin managed to stun himself by blundering his spell, but was saved by Jada, who did a great leap, and then rang the bell of stunning, and stunned a couple of these brigands. And Gray created the illusion of a tiger, which scared a couple of them off. There was a brief fight. 2 of them were killed by Tarquin, and then the party retraced their steps and made it back to the boat. And I'll pass back over to you, Pete.
Thank you. A pretty eventful trip through the city. Well, once they got back to the boat, we had a quick discussion about where to proceed from there, but time was of the essence because the healer had given us a bit of a time limit, or the High Priestess had given us a time limit for when she needed Karios there, so we bundled Karios, tidied ourselves up, bundled Karios into a carpet, and Nicholas and Tarquin and Gray this time rushed back to the temple. We didn't make it quite in time. They were in the middle of some sort of religious service when we arrived, so we did have to sort of participate and pray just to sort of try and prove our devotion to the old gods, to the goddess Hera, so that we wanted to win favour, basically. After the ceremony was complete, the High Priestess Eveline was able to see Karios, and we entered into negotiations about what she could offer, what they could offer. We were looking for preservation of Karios' body, repair of her heart and lungs, repair of any rot damage, and repair of any stats, any of deterioration of mental and physical stats that had happened. After some of those things, they could not repair the stats. So, well, we weren't clear on if they could repair stats or not. They could not repair heart and lungs. But after negotiation, we ended up paying 570 GP, which is a huge amount. That we were watching was adding money as we went along. The guy, was that enough? What's the body language? No, not quite. Was that enough? Not quite. Oh, okay, they've uncrossed their arms. Looks like we've given them enough of a donation. She was able to cast preservation on Karios' body, so Karios will not rot any further. And we found out later that's for 30 weeks. So we're really pleased about that. Hopefully we'll be able to get resolution in that time. They have a healer who is going to see if they can cast organ regeneration on her skin. So, healing of her skin and perhaps reduce some of the rot damage. And we will have to investigate further if we can get stats to pay for stat regain spells. I believe that's correct, Chris.
Fantastic. Yes, I'll touch on a couple of points there. But any qualifying questions? Anything from anybody else before I make some comments and we kick things off? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Pete. Really well summarised. So a slight discrepancy for those that are following the story between what happened last session and also what Pete just described. GM did a bit of checking in the background and actually corrected himself. So the most critical thing that's happened is tick-tock, 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 stop. The timer has stopped. So fantastically, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you have managed to prevent any further rot from Karios. So that's at least one major thing that you wanted to stop from happening. You are informed with that spell being cast by High Priest Eveline up on screen that Karios' body will no longer rot. I had misspoke last session with the High Priestess informing you that she was able to cure a mind. I did a little bit more research just offline for those who are interested in Rolemaster rules, and there is a spell on the same preservation list called Restoration, and that does restore a mind, but as I did a bit more investigation, it restores a mind that has been damaged by evil, nasty spells or the undead, not from death itself. So the High Priestess has told you that you'll need to find other means, and she can elaborate further if required, but other means to restore Karios' stats. And yes, indeed, her healer, if you understand the distinction between a cleric and a healer, yes, they both, in this case, derive their power from the gods, the goddess Hera, but they have slightly different flavors of spells. So the High Priestess is responsible for preserving a body and also potentially bringing a body back from the dead and healing things like, well, healing other things, about the kind of the makeup of a person, whereas a healer is responsible for healing the actual physical damage. And the conclusion that the High Priestess told you, came to you, or informed you, was unfortunately her most senior healer has been out of town for several months. Her next most senior healer is a woman by the name of Sister Maron, and Sister Maron will indeed, and you've paid for that. It's not restoration or restoring, but rather trying to recover damage that's been done to Karios' skin and organ. Skin is, of course, an organ. Sister Maron does not have the skill to heal or to recover Karios' missing 2 lungs and heart that were burnt out of her by the acid some 3 days ago. You'll need to find somebody else to assist with that. The last thing that Sister Eveline informed you was you will need to first heal the physical damage to Karios, so get Karios' body intact, then bring her back to life, and only once she's actually been brought back to life, her body is intact, can somebody then try to change her stats, or to bring her mental faculty. The way that the High Priestess framed it was to repair the damage done from blood loss to Karios' brain, was how she framed it. So a little bit of backtracking from what was described in last session. So if you're listening to these sessions, as some people do, back to back, a slight change, that's where we're at. Yes, indeed, it only, in inverted commas, cost for the 2 spells, the skin and the preservation spell, the princely sum of, what do we say, 570. One other last point from me. We're going to start at 3 p.m, just after that preservation spell has been cast. Today is King's Day, the 4th of Year End. Year End is exactly that. There are 12 months in this calendar, and in 26 days there will be Year's End's Day. And just as a bit of a heads up for everybody here, bearing in mind your cultures, Year's End's Day, the 30th of Year's Ends in 26 days' time. Basically, if you recall when you were back in Jebai Ritana, and Askell, you may recall you were out and about this particular evening. It was the Festival of Cold Moons. It was a very inauspicious time, a time that's not very nice, a time of bad luck. Year's End's Day is even worse. So Year's End's Day is considered a wholly unlucky day with no redeeming value. as all the luck and goodness of the year has been used up. No marriages, no celebrations, no meetings are ever scheduled for Year's End's Day. Most people stay home, shops are usually closed, and people on the street hurry to their destinations lest ill luck of the day cause them some misfortune on the way. Some say children born on Year's End's Day are cursed. So at the end of this month, in 26 days' time, it is the end of the year, and we're into the next year after that. The weather, as we can hear, it is not pouring with rain, but there is certainly a medium rain falling. All of the characters are back on the ship, other than the ones mentioned who are at the temple. I've talked far too long enough. Any last questions before we kick things off? And we are going to start in the temple.
Sorry, I don't know if this is appropriate. Now, in the clarification of the healing spells, you're talking about the stat recovery spells. From that list, 15th level spell. You say it's not just for Constitution.
Correct. But each stat needs to be handled in its own way.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yes.
But she can cast that spell.
You don't know.
Eveline. Oh, okay. I thought that would have been part of the discussion because we did ask about stat recovery.
Oh, you did. Yes, you did.
Was available.
Yes. So she can cast that spell
once Karios has been physical damage healed and relifed.
So the last thing in the process is indeed the stat recovery.
Cool.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any last questions? Fantastic. Let's start the game. So we find Gray, Tarquin, and Nicholas in an anteroom or a room out the back of this slightly dilapidated but quite beautiful temple to Hera, the goddess of renewal in the old god's faith. Present in the room is High Priestess Aveline, who is literally just finished casting the preservation spell on Karios' lifeless body in front of you. Also in the room is Sister Michelle, who is kind of flicking glances over at Tarquin, and also a little bit at Gray as well, but particularly at Tarquin. That's where that's where we're going to start. What do the three characters do, please?
I suppose as it's feeling like we've resolved with Karios' immediate danger, and we understand that we're leaving her here for a little while. Is that correct? We're leaving Karios' body at the temple whilst the organ repair is to be done? Chris?
Oh, to me? I don't know.
Well, sorry, what was their understanding with the High Priestess? That the healer was going to need to cast the organ repair, so we needed to leave Karios at the temple?
You didn't have that discussion.
Oh, okay. Well, Nicholas would inquire about that because the healer hasn't yet cast that spell. They're away, so Nicholas will ask, "Shall we, return to our? Can we return with Karios to our ship, or does she need to stay here?" Was what he'd politely ask.
Well, so long as anybody entering our house is of the right faith, of course.
Oh, well, we would take her now. I mean, Nicholas would show his gratitude and be extremely grateful. Be very thankful to her and deferent, but would be inquiring what she wanted us to do with Karios. Shall we take her back with us now? We would like to. Is that what is best for you?
Well, Sister Maron will be here presently. I have sent for her.
Didn't realise that. A mistake.
To see what can be done regarding the repair to this poor child's face, and Eveline reaches down and almost touches, a patch of kind of mouldering tissue that's kind of sunken into Karios' cheek. It's part of where Karios' cheek fell out on the boat.
Yeah.
She will be, the Sister Maron will be here presently. I'll wait with you if you wish.
Thank you very much. I didn't realise that System One was going to be here so immediately. Yeah, we will. So we will wait for her, and then we'll take her direction after about what our next move is with where Karios should be. In the meantime, Nicholas will want to inquire, just very politely and with no expectations, if it would be possible for perhaps someone to come to the boat to look at another of our companions who has been, who's unconscious, and we don't know why. They had a severe blow to the head, and would it be possible for someone to come and examine them?
Oh, I'm sure it would be possible, yes.
And so while Nicholas is talking to, i.e. distracting Eveline, Tarquin will cast, what's it called? Sorry, I lost my spell list. This nice spell he has, study on Eveline.
Okay.
But he actually casts it on himself. But yeah.
Okay. Give me a roll.
$60.
60, with adequate spell prep, that spell goes off. As Tarquin does so, or just then, Eveline does glance over at Tarquin and looks at him, and then continues back speaking to Nicholas.
Nicholas will thank her and say it's good to know that is a possibility. I will discuss with my companions. About if we would require that assistance. And I suppose he would just settle down to wait.
Who were you thinking of when you say assistance? I'm assuming you know the city. Oh, you mean assistance from us?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, we don't make house calls.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. If we were to require a house call, have you got a recommendation, please?
Healers in town? Yes, there are some. Some of the appropriate faith.
Of course.
Let's see.
Nicholas would also say, and of course we're looking for someone who might well be able to restore her heart and lungs. If there's anyone that you would recommend in this town, in the city. As well.
Yeah. Yes. She actually pulls. She grabs Sister Michelle, who's kind of again still. Actually, reasonably obviously eyeing up Tarquin at this stage. She licks her lips once in Tarquin's direction, and she pulls. Eveline pulls Sister Michelle to one side, and they have a bit of a hurried conversation. We couldn't recommend anybody specifically, of course, but yes, I'm aware of several others in town. We know that Sage Lorena is a godly woman. You can find her at the Swamp Sage's Sanctuary. There's a rather distasteful elf called Dariusar Onasai. He is the proprietor of the Blind Octopus Healers. There's the Moorside Infirmary. A gentleman by the name of Dr. Thelgar is, I believe, a follower of the Right Gods. Yes. I think Master Alarak as well, with the Apocarypse Haven, but I'm not sure. I don't know so much about him.
Thank you very much.
Those are all people of. I mean, I think I don't know, and she kind of takes you aside a little bit conspiratorially. They say that Dr. Thilgar is dabbling with Roldan. So he's been seen apparently in the church of Roldan. Now, you know, the Roldanics are of course our friends, and they of course believe in the right gods, but you know, I'm not quite sure he's exactly our type.
Perhaps a bit misguided. Perhaps a little bit misguided.
Perhaps he's a good man, I understand, and talented, but yes, he's swayed to the tree, you may say.
Good to know. He will be. If we must, we must. But we would prefer someone of the faith, for sure, for our inquiries. That's very good to know. Thank you so much.
I doubt any of them will venture from their place of operation, but you can always ask, I suppose.
Our priority certainly will be to look for healing of the body for Karios as our number one priority.
Oh, quite understandable. Is that the child's name? She says, looking down at.
Oh, sorry, and actually, Nicholas would have used her pseudonym. Okay. Absolutely, sorry, just most definitely. In fact, I think we're all using pseudonyms. Nicholas was certainly using Homistalis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what a sweet name. She looks so peaceful. Well, apart from her cheek falling off. She looks... you can see her teeth.
And I suppose Karios, Victory is there also, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think that Nicholas would say you can tell a lot by a person by their relationship with other animals, and she is obviously very well loved.
Indeed. And High Priestess Aveline clearly is a cat lover, and bends down and pats Victory. Anything from Grey at this stage, either Grey or Tarquin?
No, I don't think anything more from Tarquin. I think Tarquin would be keeping a little eye on Sister Michelle. He's probably pretty keen to head off, actually. So I guess we're waiting for Sister Marion so we can do that.
Okay. Anything from Grey?
No, just waiting.
Okay. So a few moments later, it's you're kind of pausing there, and you're in that kind of weird, kind of slightly awkward thing that happens between humans, where you've kind of chatted about what you need to talk about, and you know, there's a pause, and you all kind of look at each other, and Sister Aveline turns to you again, apparently to make conversation, and says, are you here in Landania long? Or do you live here? I'm unclear.
So she directed that to Nicholas or to...
Oh, to all three.
To Tarquin.
To all three of you.
Tarquin would look over to Nicholas.
He's thinking as short as possible. He will just give a non-committal answer. You know, we're here. We came here after the unfortunate result of what happened with our companion, and we are on our way to Ely.
What did happen? I mean, there are very unusual injuries. She says, I haven't had a proper look. I was focused on preserving the dear child. What did happen to her? She opens up Karios's clothes again, and there is this gaping hole where the acid blast has gone into Karios's chest and demolished organs and inner workings of her chest. I mean, she kind of almost recalls a bit in horror. What did happen? That's a terrible injury.
Does Nicholas have any knowledge of any animals, perhaps in this area, that would do anything like this, apart from eldritch horrors with the acid, or no, the creatures in the between? Does he know of anything that's plausible?
Give me a masked general knowledge roll.
6.
6. It could be very good. It could be very bad. What's his general knowledge, please?
58.
Yeah, you're fresh out of ideas. I mean, there are those terrible birds that you've come across on a couple of occasions, and troll boars and things like that. But nothing that would do this kind of injury.
He would. We were ashore and camping at night time, and in the middle of the night, some sort of creature burst upon us in our camp, and we fought it off, but we did not see it clearly. So some sort of wild creature was terrifying. He'll go pale or whatever.
Goodness me, she says, and she stares at Nicholas quite hard. Where was this?
It was spider-like. It was human. We thought it was human-like and spider-like. It was coming on for nightfall. It was on one of the islands to the west of here, the northwest of here.
The Morshade Archipelago.
Yes, we were on our way down the coast. Yeah.
Haunts of pirates and cutthroats. Really, what were you doing? And she, just as she's saying, what were you doing there? This woman enters the room and bows low. A young woman, well dressed, and she kind of averts her eyes. The High Priestess forgets about her question and turns to you all and somewhat unnecessarily says, here is our current, most senior healer present in the House of Hera. Sister Maran, please, would you be ever so kind to do what you can to repair whatever you can of the skin of this poor child? And she points down at Karios on the slab. The young woman looks down, and Karios' shirt is still open with this horrible injury. And you can see the hood of this woman comes back, and she can see she's pretty horrified. I mean, the acid has burnt into the chest, and it's kind of fused around the hole, the cavity, and basically where Karios' chest used to be. It's a horrible injury. And obviously the rot, as described, had been stopped on her arms and legs, but not on her face, not on her neck, and not on the major part of her torso. She bows her head and just simply mumbles, can't quite catch it, but something to the effect of, as you will, gracious mother. And she pauses for a few seconds. Anybody doing anything, saying anything? Oh, okay. And pauses for 40 seconds or so, and then rests her hands on Karios' forehead. And there is, ever so slightly, very slight glow that washes over Karios' body, and you all see it's quite. I mean, you've all seen some of Jadar's magics before, but this is quite impressive. Parts of Karios' skin just start to, certainly the outer parts of Karios' skin starts to slowly and then more rapidly repair. She still has a hole, however, in her cheek. It hasn't actually fully sealed up the hole either yet or just yet, but Karios' skin is looking not perfect, but certainly a lot better than it was, and that rot that I've described several times now has largely gone, but there's still this persistent hole in Karios' cheek. Sister Maron bows her head again, and with a nod, from the High Priestess exits the room. She barely looks at the three of you. The High Priestess, Eveline, turns to you and says, well, I believe that is as much as our gracious mistress from above can assist at this time. She turns to Grey and uses Grey's pseudonym, I'm assuming. Tarquin, are you using your real name?
So Tarquin has not been asked their name and so has not provided it.
Ah, okay. Oh, true. Did you not give... Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
So the innkeeper knows Tarquin, but nobody at the temple knows Tarquin.
Okay.
Well, they know him, but don't know his name.
She would certainly turn to you then and ask your names.
Who? Adeline?
Yes, all of you.
I think Tarquin would introduce himself as T.
Okay. And Nicholas and Grey?
I don't know.
I think he was going by Silver.
Silver.
I think he was.
Love it.
Silver and Janet.
Love
We
it.
didn't bring Janet, yeah.
Okay. And Nicholas has a pseudonym too. Is that right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
Thomas Tallis.
So she nods at all three of you, responds to your names, and says you are welcome back in the house of our mistress at a future time. If you still require my assistance, it's always good to meet people of the faith. Go in peace, and I hope young, and she uses Karios' pseudonym, finds either salvation or at least peace. Go in peace of the mother, and may the gods be with you.
I think as we leave, Tarquin would turn to Sister Michelle and say, until tonight.
She just smiles. She smiles the kind of grin that a predator, perhaps a cougar, might give its prey. And just licks her lips ever so slightly as Tarquin heads off.
Oh my.
Anybody else?
I was just, if we can have a little discussion with the three of us perhaps before leaving, the question that Nicholas would have would be ideal if we can get Karios' heart and lungs healed. It's getting on what time?
It'd be about half three.
So
I think
perhaps a little late to try and get her heart and lungs healed at those four places that were recommended. What do we think? Yes.
I think Tarquin would suggest we've got time. Maybe we go back to the boat. I'm going to pop into the inn to let them know Sister Michelle might come and to ask how many of the Roldenics or Tigos are in town, because if it's few or none, it might be safer than some of your colleagues think. And that will help us. And I'm in good terms with the innkeeper, so I might suggest we could do that, and we could ask around to see what people there think might be a possibility in terms of other healers. But yes. Yeah, maybe we should get back to the boat. The other thing we can do, of course, is bring Nathaniel here to the temple for diagnostics.
True. Absolutely. But yeah, so I think we would save our inquiries at these other suggested healers and other healers of other faiths tomorrow. Yep. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Because I think that means we'll have to carry Karios back into town, and we don't want to be lugging her all the way around the town. So we can, yeah. Anyway, and yes, so we would bundle her back into the carpet, I guess, because we're going to take the carpet back.
Yep.
And yeah, so head back to the boat via the inn. Is that right, Giles?
Yeah, and the inn is close and en route, isn't it, Chris?
It is. It's only 15-20 minutes away. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there's any diversion. And I think Tarquin would simply pop in and remind the captain, or let the captain know that a sister may appear for him and he may appear later, and ask the question. They're on friendly terms. It's just Tikos and the Roldenics, right? I think Tarquin would check who the people that the party is so scared of are. I can't remember if it's just those people.
And the spy agencies of all great nations.
crikey. Okay, so I guess he'd pop in and want to know how prevalent they are in town. Bearing in mind, he was here for 3 weeks, only 5 days ago, and it took some considerable intel even to hear that they might be on Jewel Island. So there wasn't like an enormous presence then. So are there a few, lots, almost none? And so
a little bit confusing. So firstly, you all three of you and the carpet go into the drowned rat.
Yep.
That was a question.
Yes, we would. We'd all sit down. I'd buy us a beer each, or something to drink.
Okay.
And then I'd talk.
Yeah, tell me what happens. Talk me through it.
Then I talked to the captain, and we got along remarkably well as we popped in early in the morning. And Tarquin knows he's kindly towards him, and he would check with Nicholas that it's Tikos, the Roldenics, and the spy agencies of the large nations. And I think he would ask the captain how prevalent he thinks these people are in town at the moment. So he'd take him to one side and sort of ask him quietly what's going on with this crew.
Okay, just 1 second. Just 1 second. It's really.
I think when he gets the answer, Chris, he's got to use his life perception skill for all it's worth to make sure that he's good for his
just going. In fact, GM's just going to pause for a second. I need my hat so I can see. Really want this. Where is it? No, of course it's there. There you go. Alright. Cool. Usually pretty good at sorting these out in advance, but I did quite like this. Let's go with yeah, it's really not the most salubrious of bars. Like the Drowned Rat is a complete and utter dive. Admittedly, that's probably a little bit more untidy than it normally would be. So you go up to Cat and Salty, big man, big burly man. Boy, good to see you again. Did you find what you were after earlier on today? Oh, you bought a carpet.
Indeed we did, my good friend, and indeed we did buy a carpet. Just popping back in for a beer for me and my colleagues, and just wondering what the activity of the large nations in town is like at the current time.
The what?
Yeah, the Roldenics, Tikos, those people.
What's a Tikos?
Okay, that answers that question. Thanks, boss. And then I think we talk about the weather for a bit.
Roldenics, I mean, there's the church up the road, but...
Yeah, are they in town a lot at the moment, or
does anybody know
quiet?
what's a Tikos? He's kind of...
Well, it's a good question. I'm not really sure, truth be told.
No, he's asking the bar.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, but I'll just see.
I think Tarquin would lead forward and say, Salty, my friend, quiet conversation. Keep your voice down, my friend.
Oh, really? Are they...
You know me.
Are they thieves?
Don't know, boss. Don't know. Do know I don't want everyone to know.
Oh, really? Never heard of them if they're thieves. I know most of the thieves. rolled in. Well, yeah, there's the church up the road, of course. Strange folk. I mean, they like the old gods, but they don't like the old gods, and they like banging on about the guy that got, run through the spear on the tree and all the rest of it. Strange people.
So lovely, my friend. Have a lady friend, Sister Michelle from up the road, who might be popping in later. Keep an eye out. Be nice to her for me if I'm not back. Would you? You'd do that for me, wouldn't you, Salty?
A lady friend, Lady of the Night, is it?
It's a lady friend, my friend. If you could keep an eye on her, and we probably need to tootle. And I think I put my beer down.
What's a
look
tootle?
over it. Gotta go. I'll look over to Nicholas and Demos and mate for the door. I think it's time to get back to the ship.
Okay. Anybody do anything else I should be aware of? Oh.
Are we actually having a beer?
Let's say again, sorry.
Are we actually having a beer?
Apparently so. Mark off 2 tin pieces each.
Well, I'm paying for it all, so I'll mark off 6. You guys just forked out 560 gold pieces. And I can stretch to 6 tin.
Quick beer, because the carpet.
Yeah.
The carpet.
Beer and out the door and back to the boat.
Cool. All right, well, you head your way through Ladana streets. Could one brave person just give me a D100 roll, please? Just for fun. Just for fun. Because we like fun.
I don't think it is fun.
I was going to say, I feel like you say it's just for fun, but it's not going to be for fun.
I didn't say fun for who.
I'll tell you who's fun. Do we want high or low?
I'll do it.
Yeah, Mason's fun. We saw from the weekend how fun Mason is. Off you go.
Oh dear.
What was the-
69. That's fun.
69.
All the numbers.
dudes.
That's
All right.
fun.
Okay.
That is fun.
Okay. So, literally, you just rolled a military patrol. So, as the carpet is being trotted through the streets, who's carrying it, by the way?
Ray.
Gray by himself, or is it strung out between? It's probably easier carried between 2 people.
Not fireman's
Tarquin.
lift over the shoulder.
Oh, I suppose you could, but it's certainly more awkward carrying it singly.
Okay.
Happy for Nicholas to take the other end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So as you wandered through Landana's, and you can see up on screen, pretty dilapidated, sad, really, streets on your way back to the docks. You're in this kind of neighbourhood here, exactly this neighbourhood here, passing that fruit market, and a detachment of mildly, and when I say mildly, I do mean mildly, better presented soldiers. City, you're not quite sure if they're city watch or militia or something. There's 10 of them. I mean, their spears are rusted, their armor's chipped and broken and dinted and damaged. Their helmets are not looking good. The person in the front has got a spiked helmet with 2 or 3 rather sad-looking peacock feathers dripping in the rain. Pretty pathetic lot. But they're slightly more alert than others that you've seen. Kind of looking around them. And just as you come through that archway that you can see up on screen, they're coming past you as well. Can I ask, please, for somebody to roll an unmasked perception roll for this group of soldiers?
Okay. It's 100.
Oh dear.
Roll again.
Okay. 5. Sorry,
I think we're
Graham.
all going to be fired pretty soon.
One roll. Oh. 63. Stop laughing.
I told you it was going to be fun.
Is it?
So as you're walking past, the guy with the kind of sad peacock feathers at the top of his helmet says in Thebronic, "Halt, you there, at the carpet. Stop." That's certainly Tarquin that speaks Thebronic. Anybody else?
Nicholas does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tarquin and Nicholas, you're aware that he's just said stop. What do you do?
Chris, can I just check? So Tarquin spent 3 weeks in the city. He'd have a pretty good idea that this is a pretty motley lot, and my presumption is he'd have a pretty good idea of what kind of bribe's going to be needed, which I presume is what's going to be required to the crew. Would that be a reasonable assumption? Or not?
Let's find out. What do you do?
Well, I think what Tarquin wants to do is hail them, have a conversation, and bribe the leader.
Nicholas will begin preparing.
Ask for safe passage. Thank him for looking after the city.
Okay. Gray, they're speaking in some ridiculous language. You're at least now probably aware that it's Thebronic, but you've got no idea what's going on. So Gray, you're just kind of standing there dripping in the rain, carrying Karios's now preserved body over your shoulder. Hey friend, says Peacock Feather. What's in the rug there?
I guess using all of his charm, Tarquin was sound like it's the thing we picked up. We've got to take it back to our ship.
We
know we can do it safely because you look after our city so well, thank you, kind sir.
What are you after, Sunshine? Give me a charm roll.
Can this be 102, please? It's 42.
Plus
85.
Okay. Sorry, there was something there from Nicholas?
He is preparing, but out of the side of his mouth, if he can, he'll just indicate to Gray what's happening, asking about the rug.
Okay. Any actions from Gray?
Just smiles at the guys. Just ready.
Poor Gray.
And hand axe somewhere. Has he got his hand axe? No.
Well, he didn't. He had the option of picking it up back at the boat. He didn't do it. He took, as far as I know, he only went out with his dagger again.
It's alright. He's got a martial arts score, and he's good at brawling.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, look, so that wasn't a great roll, but it wasn't awful. Keep talking. Basically, he's give me another roll by another plus 20. So, he's definitely wary of you. And by the way, that roll was a negative. It wasn't a success, but that was a negative 20, and you still got this result. You are very good at the skill. So what are you saying? You initially said we picked up something. We're off. Got to deliver it. But we're fine because you good people look after us and keep the peace and all the rest. And then he was saying, what are you angling for, Sunshine? What do you counter with, Gray? After that.
You want Gray to answer, Chris?
Gray or
Tarquin? Sorry, Tarquin.
Yeah, don't ask Gray to answer. He's just smiling. Big smile.
Okay. Hello! What does Tarquin say?
I think Tarquin would be saying, it's good to be able to walk the streets so safely, lovely. He'd be being charming and delightful to him, probably making one or two jokes with his other colleagues, a bit of camaraderie here. And then saying, Thank you so much for your service as we head off, and a small token of our appreciation. And he would slip him what he'd know to be a reasonable bribe.
Okay. Just as a heads up, there is a skill called bribery. I would give you half your charm to do this. But first, roll the charm roll at plus 20.
So the roll is 44.
44 plus 85 minus 20. So, yeah, I mean, he's I mean, Tarquin, you're all smiles. You're clapping him on the back and, you know, great, and cracking a few jokes and, you know, being very, very nice. And, you know, he and a couple of his men grin, and you make a joke about the weather and, you know, the price of bananas or something, and you're chatting away. He looks pretty jovial. Do you try for the bribe?
I think maybe not. If they're all looking pretty jovial, I'd thank him, pass on his way. I'd tell him I'll be at the Drowned Rat later on tonight. It'd be lovely to buy him a beer and thank him for his services. And just, I think he'd be wanting to check that it looks like he's good at this. And I'm going to ask you again, Chris. I mean, Tarquin spent 3 weeks here. What kind of knowledge does he have about how required a bribe is?
It's definitely a corrupt city. It's definitely corrupt, but it's a judgment call on you. Absolutely, this place is rotten. Absolutely rotten.
No, I think he's going to bribe him. He's definitely going to slip him whatever an appropriate size bribe is. He's got a pocket full of coins.
Okay. You get half your chum at this. Give me a roll, please. Don't screw it up.
I screwed it up. 26 plus 40 plus 43. 69 again.
Yeah, but I am going to give you, because you. By the way, that was a very hard maneuver for the charm. So mark down that for experience. That was at negative 20. I'm going to give you plus 20 for that. That wasn't a complete failure. It wasn't a good roll, and you're a bit clumsy and you're a bit clunky around it. Had you not been able to jolly him along and kind of chat him round, that could have gone bad, because it was in front of his men. Maybe not the best. But you kind of make up for it with a bit of a joke in the end. And how much do you give him?
I give him the appropriate amount. On the basis of my knowledge, having been here for 3 weeks.
Yeah, give me a number. So a sword is worth a sword is worth 10 silver pieces. A drink is worth 2 tin.
A sword is worth how much?
10 silver pieces. A
drink is worth
2 tin pieces.
Okay, I think I'm going to slip him. No, I'll slip him too much. A drink is worth 2 tin pieces, and there are 10 tin pieces to 1 silver, yeah?
No, 10 tin to a copper, 10 copper to a bronze, 10 bronze to a silver, 10 silver to a gold.
Okay. So I'm going to slip him. So two silver pieces. And tell him it'll be nice to have a drink with him at the Drowned Rat later tonight.
2 silver, so just as a so that's 20% of a sword.
Yeah, but it's also like 600 beers, right?
It's enough for a. It's yeah, okay.
Can I get a couple of silver pieces out and give Nicholas a look and see what he thinks? I'm going to palm them so he can see them and
So I must say, how much was he offering?
Well, I don't want to give him too much.
How much did you think?
Two silver pieces, but maybe I should give him like 10. You think I'm being too mean?
That's way too much. Way too much. I mean, otherwise,
I think 2 is too much.
Nicholas would give him the eye, meaning well, that's like way too much. He would be thinking. I mean, he can't say anything, but
No, but he could
know.
he could sort of point down his leg, suggesting a lot less might be worth it.
Well, or perhaps Nicholas will shuffle over and sort of interrupt briefly, sort of, and perhaps slip him. I'd say 2 copper.
Okay.
5 copper.
Okay, in which case I'm going to give him.
Slip Tarquin 5 copper.
Okay. So that was really quite clumsily done with all of that, but he takes the money and kind of looks around at his men. Drinks are on me, lads, he says. Drown rat, you say, yeah? Mind how you go, boys. And heads off.
Thanks, Nicholas. How much did I just slip him? I just want to keep a track of how much I'm spending.
That was 5. Oh, Nicholas is happy to pay for it. 5 copper was what it was.
Cool.
I'll mark that off, Nicholas.
Okay.
You make your way back finally to the ship with no name. It's late afternoon. Hot, steamy, sticky. You walk away down the decrepit, rotting wharf down to the ship. Get back on board. What do you do?
I want to shower.
Nicholas would want to catch everyone up on the situation, so the spells that was cast, the agreements with, the information we've gathered about stat regain. He would share the names of the 4 healers that we think we should explore perhaps tomorrow.
Team Boats, your turn. I'm not going to go around each character. Please tell me what your characters do. Just volunteer, please.
So everyone's, obviously concerned to hear what's happened, but also after we've established what's happened to Karios, ask, what's it like out there? Have you had any strange encounters? Do you feel, anything of suspicious activity that we should be aware of? Anybody following you, looking at you, doing anything unusual? Anybody?
Nicholas would admit that he didn't even think of looking for that. Sort of shamefacedly, and that we should in future. He would relate the incident. He would relate the incident with the guard.
Oh yeah. Nobody else?
Eskel will probably say, is that beer I smell on you guys?
Tarquin would look for Sharon to clean his clothes, and then he would suggest to people that he might be able to go back and interrogate Sister Michelle to see if she's got any other pointers about who might best be able to heal Karios. But cleaning is probably job number 1.
And definitely, Eskel, that is beer you can smell.
Is there not beer on board?
There is.
Always different when it comes out of a keg. As per bottle. Come on, we know.
It's true.
So true.
So Eskel will be like, but yeah, jealous looking, myth looking, but otherwise all right.
Okay. Jada.
She'll be asking about what they learnt about healing, anything that she doesn't know. She's always curious about that.
Nicholas would be happy to share anything that they learned. Talking about the stat healing. It's interesting that there's, and I suppose these are channeling spells compared to her mentalism spells. I suppose he wants to compare notes on a magical level because he has an interest in that stuff about how the stat regain can be done with the channeling spells.
Yeah. High Priestess Aveline described that while you're waiting for her colleague, that God's power, Hera's power, can be drawn down, because everything comes from the gods, of course. Power can come through her, and an injured mind, a damaged mind, she has the ability to take the goddess's power and help replenish a mind that's been damaged. That is weird to you, Jada. You can heal a body pretty well. You can heal physical stuff, but this is new magic to you. Well, you might have heard of it, perhaps, but it's not magic you're that familiar with. Anything from Demos? Anything from Tanya or Etienne? Anybody, please.
Go on. Sorry. Nicholas would say that he was not aware of being observed when he was out in the city. I mean, we are expecting people to be on watch for us. He wasn't aware of anything odd happening to him. No unusual magical feelings or anything like that of observation. And he didn't notice. And I'm right in saying I believe that we would have, you would have told us that he didn't notice anyone suspicious as far as he was concerned.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, Jada forgot. Did she tell everyone what happened when she got off the boat? She didn't. Now's the
What's
chance. Jada will remember something happened to her when they were first on their way to the healer. But after the fight and everything, she just forgot. So she'll tell the group now that they're all together. When she jumped off the boat, as soon as she hit the deck, the ground, she felt itchy, and she had sort of a red mark on her arm from when she was in the upside down, and she started to see like white tendrils coming down and black tendrils coming up, and that was it. And then it went away. You kind of wondered, what was I imagining things, and sort of forgot about it. So she'll tell you guys and ask, what do you think this means? What could this mean?
I guess Leif would perhaps pipe up. He'd be very interested to know about that. Leif would. I suppose we've shared that information amongst the parties. I believe we did. We told each other our whole stories. But he would reiterate that the hero party have seen black tendrils coming from some of us and white tendrils coming from others. That is a sign of we're taking that as a sign of the gods' interest in us. And it might have something to do with a weapon used against the nemesis of the hero party, this defiler guy who was a Lord of Arcana. So sort of backstory there, but that it's interesting that someone from the Twilight party is seeing it. So it's something the hero party have only seen amongst themselves, I believe.
Yeah, a reason to suspect is some sort of weapon, which they may be within them. Which is...
But was Jada seeing things... Sorry, I missed that a bit. Where was she seeing them? On her, or...?
In her brain. So it looked like there's a flash of light in her brain when she saw these white and black smoky tendrils. We all know what that means. Wriggling around, and then it just stopped.
Okay, cool. So it wasn't on things. It was just a vision she had. Okay, sorry, gotcha.
Yeah, it was a vision in her head, and then she was all itchy all over.
So she didn't think that someone cast a spell on her or anything?
It just happened when as soon as her feet touched the ground. So you know how we'd only been on the dock. As soon as she hit the ground, and that she's got a mark on her palm after going through the gate at the in between, and that was what was itching.
Yeah, gotcha.
So she can show everyone there's a red mark.
That was those resistance rolls we did when we went into the in between. When we came out of it. Got you.
Coming out, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
Oh, well.
that's something to do with the worlds being closer, or yeah. Okay. Good to know.
The comet is, of course, closer. I haven't been commenting on it every day, but every day it is getting closer. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else people are doing?
I think just keen to sort of do what we need to do and get going, right? But I guess we're done for the day now, are we? Other than Tarquin, I guess. Do we know where these houses of healing are? I guess we can plan, or
Perhaps Tarquin can do. Oh, he was going to do some investigation about that as well, wasn't he? So if Tarquin, when he goes out again, if he can inquire about their locations, so we're prepared for tomorrow, and find non-old gods sources of healing or places of healing. Does that suit?
Yep.
Okay.
And Wingy and Victory, can I just check in on the critters, please?
What do you want to know?
Like, how are they? Where are they? I wasn't sure what Wingy was up to. And how's Victory doing? And she got some. I think we asked for some milk for her. I don't know if that came.
Yep. So firstly, Wingy greets Grey as he gets back to the ship. Pleased to see Grey. And Victory, Victory has been reasonably well taken care of. Your smiley friendly friend, unnamed friendly friend, he's actually been quite attentive to all of you, and he's made sure that food and drink have come in. Probably one thing he hasn't been able to do much of is the smell in the cabin. The cabin up on screen didn't smell great to begin with, but what with Karios, mud, blood, God knows what on you, sweat, it's getting a bit whiffy in there. But certainly food and drink have come in, and both Wingy, Grey's bird, and Karos's beloved pussycat have been well taken care of.
Thank you.
Cool. Anything from Demos I should be aware of?
No, he's good. He's just chilling.
Okay.
Listening.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a description of what you do as dusk begins, as twilight begins to fall across Landana. Food, as I say, food and drink is plentiful. You're fed and watered pretty readily. You haven't, by the way, seen your big bushy bearded friend for some time. You saw him in the morning, and there have been various people from the boat who have come down to ensure that you have food and drink, but you haven't seen him all day. In the evening. Talk me through it. What happens?
I think Severin and Tanya will keep an eye out, just occasionally looking at the portholes, keep what's going on, but they'll stay out of sight of anyone on the dock, as would Etienne.
Okay.
Just stay in the quarters, but just, be mindful of what's going on, but without going up on deck as best they can.
Sure thing. Anybody else?
I think Tarquin would be unkeen to go out by himself, so he might slide up to Askell, who's been clearly looking fidgety, and ask if he wants to get himself disguised and come with him to the pub.
Yeah, Askell would be keen.
Okay, talk me through that, guys.
So I think what Tarquin would do is come over to Askell, have a little chat, and let him know he's arranged to catch up with one of the sisters of Kira, and he's planning on asking her both about the temple and about healers in town, how to find them, and who might be able to restore heart and lungs. Seems like the next thing we need to do. He'll tell him he knows Salty, the captain at the Drowned Rat, which is an inn in town. He's pretty keen on going with someone to kind of keep an eye out, and would ask him if he wants to come.
What language are they all speaking here? Not
Good question.
not as-
What language do the Askel speak?
Bronic.
So I'd be happy with the Bronic. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the locals. What do they speak? As in to be inconspicuous.
Yep. So you would some information you had picked up, bribery perhaps not, but definitely Thebronic is the most common. There's quite a bit of South Tongue. Vargonese, which is one of the other prominent trade languages in the south. A bit of Westron, quite a bit of Westron. Some Tadak Telmin, which is another major trade language, and also quite a lot of Arab speakers as well. A reasonable amount of Haradanian as well. But Thebronic is definitely the lingua franca.
I guess Tarquin would ask in Thebronic how good Askel's Thebronic is.
Yeah, it's really good. If you have to put a number on it, it's a 7.
Oh, I'm good with really good.
As is his Haradanian. He's pretty good with languages. Yeah, it was just more like just thinking if there's a good language to mix things up if we're going a little bit incognito rather than, oh yes, that's that guy who speaks Haradanian, rocking around speaking another language. What other language does Tarquin speak?
So Tarquin speaks all sorts of languages: Thebronic, Vargonese, Tark Telman, Sinandran, Westron, Spat, South Tone, Platon, a couple of others that he reads. Arcan and Kisnell, he's got a lot of languages.
It could be something we do. We just speak in a language that we wouldn't normally be seen to be speaking in. We're going to mix things up. It's probably a bit late for you now, actually, if you've already been.
Yeah, they all know I speak Thebronic. But what language do you speak that they might not understand?
Ceylon?
I don't speak that, I don't think. No.
Not very well, level 2.
I think we're good to stick with Thebronic, and we'll see how we go.
Alright. So, describe what those two characters do, please.
Lead the way, Tarquin, to the tavern.
And I think we'll get to the tavern and look to see if Sister Michelle is there.
Okay. So, firstly, so we'll cut screen in a second. Approximately what time of day are the two of you heading off?
We'll eat and then go, so it'll be, I don't know, evening.
Is it dark when you head off?
When does it get dark there?
About 6 or 7.
No, yeah, it's probably definitely on dusk if not dark.
Okay, cool. Anything I should know that either character are taking with them?
Just the standard stuff, so not the bow and arrow, backpack, short sword.
Okay.
That's right, yeah, because people do walk around carrying side weapons, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yep, that's cool. Cash will have his cutlass.
Okay. Excellent. Could you both please jump into chat room 1, and I'll come and join you in a second.
Oh, I'm just before you go, I'm just popping the names of the healing places to, perhaps if you're going to follow them up where they are, I'm just putting them into the Twilight Party Intel Lore chat.
Brilliant,
Wait.
thank you.
Seeing.
Okay. Lovely. And they're both out. Anything else that the rest of people are doing? Severin and Tanya have described kind of keeping an eye on things. I think Demos' description was just chilling. Anything else I should be aware of?
Gray's probably keeping a vigil with Karios,
Okay.
I would have thought.
Okay.
And keeping an eye on the critters, maybe just sharing some special time with the creatures.
Okay. Yep. Nicholas Smith. Yep. Go for it. Sorry.
Leif would be looking after Kairos and hanging out with Gray. Nicholas, Mithan would be just minding her own business, basically. Nicholas would be talking with, and I haven't played it out, but before now he would have been approaching Jadar or Tarquin for lessons in reading Haradanian, because he has bought books from Jibaratana in Haradanian of spells he would like to learn, so he would be looking for language lessons from Jadar. And he would be doing this in quiet moments from now until next time he goes up a level.
Very good.
Is that okay with Jada? I haven't actually cleared it with her, but
Yeah, that sounds good.
oh, thank you.
All right. Okay. And you settle in as your two companions head off into the dusk. You're below decks and occasionally going up, get a sniff of air, etc. Can I ask for a perception roll from Tanya, please? Actually, a perception roll from Tanya, and a Mast, and a perception roll from Demos, thanks.
65.
Oh, and what's her perception?
81.
Cool. And from Demos as well.
He rolled a 64,
Uh-huh.
and his perception is plus 50.
Okay. Demos, can you roll again, please?
Ooh, okay. 36.
Sorry. And sorry, what was his perception?
50.
50. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Good. Thank you. So look, some time passes. It's probably been about an hour since your companions stepped off into the night, and about an hour later, there's a on the door of the cabin that you're in.
Etienne will answer it.
Okay. Your friend is standing there. Greetings! Greetings, companions! Greetings!
Etienne will match him in joviality.
Well, he doesn't ask, actually. He comes on in. So, how was your first day in Landana? Delightful place, isn't it? I can't stand it, to be honest, myself. Spend as little time here as possible. Yeah, how did you find it? How'd you get on with the dead girl, with Karios? That's her name, isn't it?
Etienne will give a rough description of what's been going on.
Oh, good. Well, and he sits down in the chair and kind of surveys the room, and he looks a bit like the cat that's got the cream. You want to ask how my day was?
Go on then. How was it?
Very good.
Excellent.
Very good. Very good for you.
Oh, even better.
Yes. Very productive, shall we say. I have news for both you, he says, pointing at Severin and Jadar and Nicholas, and I have news for you, pointing at members of the hero party, including Demos and Mithan and others. I can share both now if you wish, or I can, keep it quiet. What would you prefer? I don't mind myself.
I think we're circle of trust and all that.
Yes, trust. Yes, trust. Good. Okay, well, some very, very good news. So, Saviors of Narth, he says, pointing at the Twilight party. Some excellent news. I've managed to make contact with people here, our people here. And the good news is there is no problem with you being housed in Osot. As mentioned, a couple of hours down the coast. The even better news is, because there are other things that I and this ship potentially needs to do, is that I've arranged transport tomorrow at noon. A small fishing boat with a fisherman called M.E.R.P will take you there. So he'll take you there. He'll look after you. He will keep you safe, keep you hidden, and then when a couple more arrangements have been made, he will then be able to take you from there back to Jebai Ritana, or at least arrange for you to go from Jebai Ritana, and then from there, as per your wishes, you will go on to Rascaret. So I'm happy to say, all is in order. I've had a very lucky and productive day for you. But you leave tomorrow. You may amuse yourselves in whatever sick depravity you wish tomorrow morning, or enjoyment, or pleasure, or whatever you wish tomorrow morning. Come noon, you will say goodbye to your friends, you'll get on a boat, and you will leave to go to Osot. There's one other thing. I've been informed of someone that my masters know, who has shared the same road as you, shall we say. The same passionate, and his face here, he's quite a friendly, jolly fellow. And suddenly this kind of mask slips, and his face just goes... he looks almost like a different person for a second or so, and he says, "The same road as you, the same passionate loathing of Tikos," and he says it with almost a snarl and a hiss, and spittle comes out of his mouth. And also the same recent fate to yourselves on Jewel Island. I understand that if you're interested in another blade to add to your number, that he may be seeking a group to enact his revenge. He's currently in Osot, as I understand. And if you're willing, M.E.R.P, the fisherman, can effect an introduction tomorrow when you arrive. What say you?
Always interested to, meet fellow compatriots with common cause.
Nothing more? You're not overjoyed about moving on so swiftly? About me working my magic for you, my friends? And the mask is well and truly back in place.
Yeah, I mean, all jovial and all that, backslapping, yada yada. Just want to speak that the only issue we have is we've managed to preserve our friend's body, but we haven't completed all the healing.
I'm sure your friends, the Bloody Headsmen, can take care of that.
True. Yep. Well, they'll be going separately, will they?
Yes. That is my second news.
Ah, let's hear that then. Sounds exciting.
Well, in terms of this other blade, I should just make an observation. I've never met the man himself, but I understand he's, well, rather different. Skilled, but different. Would you still be interested in an introduction?
What do you mean by different?
The words that was given to me was odd. I know no more than that.
Well, I mean, no prejudice here. We'd never met the fellow. I don't know quite what you mean by odd, but he's got a funny nose, or?
strange manner to him, I believe. But that is, as I say, I haven't met him myself. But I know he shares the same cause as yours, and he is perhaps looking for some way to enact his revenge. That's the information I have.
Okay, well, I would be pleased to meet him.
Good. Well, tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon, be here in this very room, have your possessions packed, be ready to go, and I will turn you over to Opera, who will be your guide. To the delights, he says, and he has this slightly unnerving grin when he says it. To the delights of Osot.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
Good, good. As to any, by the way, any reaction from Nicholas? Any reaction from Jada? Any reaction from Gray, who is currently in the Twilight Party? Any or not? Any reaction? Yeah, from anybody else in Twilight, or anybody else for that matter.
Jada will give a look around to everyone with a face that reads like, can we trust this guy? What's going on?
Gray probably doesn't understand a word and just smiles broadly at Pirate Santa.
Pirate Center. No, the one thing he was able to do was when he very first met, he was speaking in Westron, which is a language that all of you speak to a greater or lesser extent. I think Demos is probably one of the least skilled in Westron, but has at least some. So he understands what Pirate Santa's saying.
Big smiles.
Okay.
Nicholas will express his gratitude and the success of his activities.
It's been
and would would murmur to Jada, yeah, it's hard to trust anyone. If we have to trust someone, he's proven himself so far. But Nicholas will reassure her that he feels mistrust as well. So, yeah, agreed.
And as to you, Assassins of Pytha, the Bloody Headsman's Band, the Champions of Ely, my goodness, you have a lot of names. What's your favourite story about where you got names from? He says, and he asks this to Demos. Do you prefer the Assassins of Pytha, or because of course you weren't around in the time of the Bloody Headsman's Band, were you?
I don't think so. I like the Champions of Ely seems nice.
You're not an assassin, friend Demos? A bit of the old stabby? Push her off the tower, you know, all that.
I wouldn't call myself an assassin. I don't think.
Oh, good. So you actually, I'm trying to recall. Actually, I'm a little bit vague. What part did you each play in the Trials of Ely? How did you actually win? It was you, wasn't it? He points at Mithan. Your bow shot. Wasn't that it?
Yes, she'd just give him a curt, yeah.
Not a talker, are you, Mithan? Well, friends.
It should sort of snidely say, you are.
He smiles a little bit too long at Mithan. He's got this kind of fixed grin at her, and his eyes harden a little bit. And the silence is perhaps a little bit longer than it should be. Anyway, so the news for you, Headsman's Band, Champions, Assassins, call you what you will. Your challenge is not insurmountable, and I have found people here who will help. The person that will assist you is going to be located here, so I will pass you off to that person. It will likely be either tomorrow evening or the day before, and then at that time my ship must sail. But the preparations of which you're talking about, going to the Dead City to, and you do note that he lowers his voice when he says this, to Tarek Nev, it does take some planning, and I understand quite a bit of money needs to change hands before a guide who is either suitable or brave enough to accompany you down to that accursed place is found. But certainly we have been able to locate you a safe place to stay here. You will be discreetly located. You'll no longer be on this fine vessel, and planning will take place for your journey. I have it on good authority that it's likely you won't move as fast as your friends here, the Saviors of Narth, but at least within 4 to 5 days, I hope that there will be somebody to assist you to take you to that accursed city. Does that meet with your approval? Mithan, he says, and bows.
She would just nod. Curtly.
And the rest of you? Do not I deserve accolades? Do not I deserve a drink?
Leif will accolade him.
Etienne's being very convivial and filling in the silence with backslaps and whatever, and offering him a drink and generally being convivial.
Excellent, excellent. So,
Chris,
sorry, yeah.
Sorry, it's 10 to 9. I'm just giving you the heads up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Demos. So, right at this moment. Okay, Askell, Tarquin, it's dusk. You've eaten, you've had something to drink. You're heading up on deck, and you head into the city. Is that right?
Yep. So I think what Tarquin would do is head towards the Drowned Rat, and en route, would tell Askell it's a fun pub. He's going there to meet a sister he met at the temple, Sister Marion. He's going to try and get some information about healers out of her. I think he'd also tell her that we met some soldiers who may or may not be there, and he's hoping that Askell will be up for a couple of quiet pints, a bit of a chat, but also to keep an eye on things because Tarquin might be a bit preoccupied.
Okay.
And it's a pretty rough place.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Askell's keen on that. Noted the main purpose of being there. So to look like you're having a good time, which is not saying you won't, but also keeping his eyes and ears peeled as well.
Excellent. All right. So you can see on screen stepping off the crumbling docks, and Tarquin, your feet hit the now quite familiar kind of.
Chris, where are you? I can't see anything.
Oh no, you can't. Sorry. Got to remind myself when I swap rooms to give you a bit of a visual. There you go. Tarquin, your feet hit the broken cobblestones and you're heading off. Askell, just as your feet hit the cobblestones, I'd like you to give me a channeling resistance roll, please.
Better not do an Alex roll. 32.
Cool, and your level is 7th, I believe.
Yep, 7th. And channeling is -3.
Okay, cool. That's cool. This happens to you. A second to read. slight edit.
I'll do it.
Slight edit, hang on. There you go.
Disappeared.
Should be back now.
Yep. Yeah. Eskel, I think, would be like, whoa. And just say to Tarquin, it's like, I think I just had what Jada had that she told us about back on the boat.
And so I think if there was time, Tarquin would say, well, I don't understand that at all. Is there anything I need to know? Or is this just something that happens to you guys?
Yes, I think it would be, not sure, it could be something remnant or lingering from our time in the in-between. We may have some connection or residue from it. That's all I can think of, yeah. But anyway, it's gone. Carry on.
Guess we'd keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
So
We'd keep going.
say again.
Yeah, we'll just keep going. We'll head off to the
Drowned Rat. Sure. So heading your way through these darkened, quite unsavoury streets. It seems to get busier at night, and yeah, Tarquin, you have some knowledge of this, having spent a bit of time here. It's so hot and oppressive during the day. A lot of people will actually will take a bit of a breather and come out at night. Just going to find the appropriate image. Oops, which is not that. Not that, or that, or that. I think we're going to go to Askel. Need a yeah, I need another one. I need another screen. Just 1 second while I find the image I had before. Just set the scene of the tavern. Yeah, there we go. So, you step inside quite a busy tavern. It's not absolutely full to the brim, but yeah, it's definitely got a good number of people in it. It's not as disgusting as that. There's less garbage on the floor. There's more tables around. There's less kind of moss and lichen coming from the ceiling, so it's not as decrepit, but it's not a lot better. It's pretty much the lighting that you can see there. There's lamps down one wall. It is, as far as you know, yeah, it predominates more as a place for people to come and drink. But there is some modest accommodation upstairs, Tarquin, that you're aware. Heading in, what do you guys do?
So I think I'd take Eskel in. I'd ask him what name he wants to use. What name are you going to use, Anthony?
Well, he thinks back to a previous member of the group that left us and says, Belisarius.
Nice. I'll say sweet. They know me here as T. I'll look for the salty captain and introduce Askell to the captain and buy a couple of rounds of beer and look around to see if I can see Sister or Michelle.
Okay. There's some ale poured. One for yourself, Tarquin. One for Askell. You chuck over 4 tin, please, Tarquin. And you have a look around. Give me a roll, please.
Both of us, or just one of us?
No. Sorry, just Tarquin. Sorry, wasn't clear.
And do I do this in the main game channel?
Yeah, mate, just main game channel's fine. Yep.
Okay, 22.
22. Yeah. So sitting in the corner. Actually, I'm not going to swap images because it was a while to track down this one. But is indeed Sister Michelle. Yeah, she's sitting in table back here. You can hopefully see my cursor on screen. There are other tables here, and as mentioned, it's not as filthy on the ground. She's sitting back here, small table by herself.
So I'm going to turn to Askell and say, I'm going to go talk to Sister Michelle. I want to look around and see if I can see any of the soldiers too.
Sure. Give me another roll, please.
74.
No sign.
Okay, excellent. I'll tell Askell I didn't see the soldiers I saw tonight. I'll make sure I'll check you've got some money with you.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit.
Cool, enough for a few beers. I'll turn to Captain Salty and ask what Marion's drinking, buy one of those, and tell Askell I'll be back and wander over.
Okay.
Go
Yep,
for it, Askell.
I think. Yeah, Askell would probably just find himself a spot where he can, I don't know, put his back to the wall and just sort of position himself where he can just sort of casually sort of enjoy the ale, but also just, look around the room, just scanning the room, really.
Okay.
Nothing looking for anything particular, but just looking for anything untoward at the same time, and just keeping an eye on where, keeping so he can see Tarquin as well.
Sure thing. Could you give me, Askell, could you give me 3 rolls, please?
Individual roll?
D100, yeah, 3 individual rolls.
Yeah, I got it.
2. Okay, roll again, please.
50.
50. Yep.
And 49.
49. And roll the 2 again, please.
21.
21. Cool. I mean, mixture of people in here. It's a pretty much it is a dive bar. Quite a few what appear to be labourers. People that are dressed in, few of them that are dressed in pretty much nothing but rags. Several of them are very big, like big, strong-looking guys. You catch a whiff of them as you walk past their table. They smell great. They smell like they use their backs for hard labour. Other people in here, there's a couple of smaller, kind of paler, 4 or 5 of them sitting in the back. Each one of them's got something a bit unusual, actually, a book beside them. They're drinking wine, which is a little bit unusual, and they're kind of keeping to themselves. The rest would be, you'd say, local residents. There's one guy, however, that does look a bit different. A guy with a lute over his back. He's got a sword at his side. He's sitting by himself at the bar. Where, if anywhere, do you position yourself, Askell?
Yeah. I think as mentioned, he'd probably just want to find somewhere we can sit. Ideally, with his back against the wall, maybe
Sorry,
against
said.
the wall.
Yep.
Yeah. But just mainly just so he can keep an eye on Tarquin.
Yep.
And people coming and going, and just in general. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's a seat directly. You can see the cursor directly behind the pillar, and there's a bar stool there. It's free. Pop yourself down there. You've got a good view of Tarquin, who's over here.
Yep.
Various others in the rest of the room, and also you're able to look in this direction to the way that you came in as well.
Yep.
And Askell, it's nice, man. You sit down and you have an ale. You've had you had a wonderful time in Jebbai Ritana. Beautifully accommodated, delicious food and drink to consume. But you've had a pretty rough, nasty few days on Jewel Island. You've been knocked unconscious by a troll boar or whatever that horrible thing was. And even though this is a pretty nasty looking place, hey, you've got a beer. It's not all bad.
Yeah, Askell will definitely be feeling good. Yeah, and he'll just be, just looking at. I think also probably just checking out clientele, looking for anyone stupid.
Yeah, cool.
Not just in general, like he's just sort of. I think that part of him is just in the back of his mind that opportunities could arise.
Yep, sure.
Not that he necessarily want to act on it tonight, but he's just sort of knows it's thereabouts.
Okay, cool. Okay, we'll definitely come back to Askell in a tick. Tarquin, you head over to Sister Michelle.
And what drink has Captain Salty given me to give her?
A mulled wine of a type, not hot, but spiced wine.
Lovely. So I guess I'll go over. I'll offer her the wine. I'll say how lovely it is to meet her. Give her a gentle kiss on her lip, on her cheek. Whoops. Not quite that forward yet. And so he knows he's paid for a room for the night. Tarquin's goal here is to essentially get as much information as he can about the Temple of Hera and information about healers in town. And to that end, for every question he asks, if he's interrogating, he'll use his interrogation skill. Right. And for every answer that comes back, he'll use his lie perception skill.
Yeah, lovely.
Bearing in mind, he's not quite sure how upfront and honest this woman will be, although she clearly will know these people.
Yep.
At least that's Tarquin's thoughts.
Cool. So we probably won't do it for every single question, but we'll give you a few rolls. Look, just simply for playability, Askell, you obviously can't hear any of this, but hey, I'm not going to ask you to leave.
Yep.
Right, seconds. One more. There we go. Cool. Well, she looks up, and yeah, she smiles. Good to see you.
I'm not saying it's lovely to see you too. Please enjoy this delicious spiced wine.
Oh, that's very kind.
I'll sit down next to her. And I'll say, without you, our good friend Karios would be a much worse state. Thank you so much for both letting us into the temple and for your help today. I'm deeply in your debt.
Well, you're most welcome, and hard to say no to such a charming, young, attractive, and with the word attractive, assuming that Tarquin sat down, she puts her hand on his knee.
He's going to be quite happy with that, and I guess he'll lean forward and brush her shoulder as if by accident, and say to her, I'd love to hear more about the temple. I'm curious as to what it's like and what it's like at night. Might be a fun place to go and visit. What's it like in the evenings?
Well, it's. I mean, I'm not sure how much we want to talk about that. Surely we can find more entertaining subjects. But yeah, look, it's It's good. We'll sometimes have nightly rituals, depending on when the stars are right. Certain rituals are held, but on some evenings it's a bit dull, really. And look, I've lived in this god awful city for going on to 20 years now. It's a pretty miserable place. I'm from Ely myself originally. Nice city, by the way. Have you been?
I have not. But speaking of more fun subjects, I'm thinking it might be a fun place to go and frolic, perhaps, maybe a little bit, in the light of the goddess, if we were sure not to be caught.
Oh, you're serious?
Oh, I'm serious. I think it'd be hilarious, or is that really overstepping the limit?
Do you know who the priestess is?
Adeline, lovely. Is she surely not in the temple in the evenings?
Sometimes she is. But now, and at this, I am going to ask for a interrogation roll. Would this be? I think this would be open, because you're actually seeing the effect of what you're saying. So yeah, give me an interrogation roll, please. This is unmasked.
97.
Nice. Roll again.
49. And his interrogation is 74. Whatever that all adds up to.
In technical terms, in Rolemaster terms, there is a technical term for it, and that's a fucking lot. What do you ask?
So I ask, if we snuck in the evenings, so long as there's no guards and no one's around, maybe we could find the private chambers, frolic about a bit. I wonder how safe it'd be for us to sneak about in there, how likely we'd be to bump into Adeline, or any guards, and whether there's anything to be worried about if we were to go have some fun.
Absolutely not. Of course the temple is guarded. Of course it's guarded. And as well as it being guarded, it's guarded both from here, and she shows her eyes, but also from here, and from here, and she points up. Our mistress watches over, absolutely, and it would be a terrible, terrible, sacrilegious thing to do. I mean, are you a follower of Aphrodite, dear boy? She says, and her hand creeps further up his leg.
I guess you'd say a hero, of course, although one is always open to persuasions. And again, possibly a not quite so accidental brushing of her arm.
Okay.
And I'd say, surely you'd be able to show me around the temple safely.
I am wondering whether that should have been a closed or an open roll now. I think I might do them closed. I said open for this evening, I'll have a think. Why are you so insistent on the temple? We can stay here. Is there something in the temple you want?
Just enjoy the idea of doing something a little naughty. And I think Tarquin would drop it there and change tack to talk about healers in town. And again, he'd be gently interrogating her and making sure she's not lying. And I'd ask her.
Yep. So do give me, and this is masked. Do give me a lie perception roll.
Oh, it's 100.
Wow.
Can we make it open?
Sorry, we can't. What's his lie perception?
I just mentioned that before, 74.
Okay. Look, you don't know for sure, but you think she's telling the truth. With what she has just said about the temple, and also the next what she's about to say. So what do you ask her?
So I'm going to ask you, Aveline was somewhat cautious. Who do you think is the healer in town most likely, or cleric most likely to be able to regenerate Karios's organs?
Well, some of the ones mentioned. Yeah, you could definitely try. I mean, the Apothecary's Haven has a good selection of healing herbs. The Blind Octopus, not so much in the way of herbs, but definitely some spells. The Moorside Infirmary, good, a reasonable selection of both herbs and spells. I mean, I shouldn't. Oh, and the Swamp Sage's Sanctuary. That's all herbs. That's not spells. So should be able to. Lisana would be able to assist with any medicines that you might need, but she doesn't have spells herself. She might be able to recommend spells, perhaps. Spell users, perhaps. And look, I shouldn't really be saying this because, and she lowers her voice, they're godless heathens. But those strange people, they worship some man called Dio. Anyway, there's a place called the Sanctuary of the Silver Lotus. Some say that they have powerful incantations, healing incantations too, but they're heathens. I mean, you'd have to be desperate to go to them.
And I'd say to her, and if it was Karios was your sister and you had only one person to visit, who would you choose? Smile, maybe a little back rub.
I would try the Apothecary's Haven as a first port of call. It all depends on the level of skill. Master Averick, he's a consummate professional. He's intelligent. He's quite scholarly. He's got quite a dry sense of humour too, and he is one of the faith, of course, which is appropriate. I wouldn't be mentioning this otherwise. I would probably try for him first.
And a herbalist, he will have enough knowledge to regenerate heart and lungs?
That I don't know. You would have to check with the herbalist specifically on that. I believe there are some. Says the GM, reaching for the book.
I guess at this point, I'd be leaning close to her and thanking her with a gentle whisper in her ear about her thoughts and insights. And I might check her wine and ask if she'd fancy another one.
Certainly. Are you buying?
I certainly am. And I guess at this point I'd go back to the bar. I'd buy her another spiced wine. I'd buy myself another ale. Bearing in mind I have an alcohol drug tolerance. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point I'd look at Askell and suggest he come over to the table with us.
Yeah, Askell will see that sort of gesture nod and pick up his pint of ale and just wander over, or start to wander over.
Yep. So just before, basically a minute before that happens, Askell, I was just going to get to you in a sec. Could you just give me a perception roll, please?
Alright.
A masked perception roll.
76 plus 31.
Okay. Yeah. So Tarquin comes over to you, and you head back over. Michelle looks up a little bit surprised. Who's this?
I'd introduce my good friend. I can't remember your name, Askell. The name of your...
I'll leave you myself. I am Belisarius. Pleasure to meet you.
and I think I would sit next to her with my back on place my hand on her back so she doesn't feel like I'm getting all cold on her. Whilst at the same time making sure that Askell's here and can join in the conversation. I'd lean over and say to Askell that Sister Michelle has been integral in helping us and sort of have a general conversation about how helpful and supportive she is and how wonderful she's been in this, as she describes it, somewhat backward city.
Yeah, I think Askell would join in with it's wonderful that she's helping comrade, and it's a pleasure to be in the city. It's wonderful. I love the scenery. The ale is very fine.
It's a complete shithole, is this place, and her arms fold, and she looks at Askell and just raises her eyebrow and looks directly at Tarquin. She doesn't look happy.
So I guess at this point she's not looking happy. I don't think I'd look happy either. I think maybe Tarquin would pull himself back a little bit and say, it's important we all get along as friends, and I'd raise my glass in a toast to us in the revitalisation of our colleagues.
As friends. Friends, she says, and her hand is well and truly off your leg. I thought you and I were going to get to know each other a bit better, and instead I've had lots of questions about what happens in my place of work at night. And then you introduced this man.
I'll lean forward and say, I'm sure, God, I can't remember his name. I've got a brain like a sieve.
Serious.
Would be happy to make himself scarce, and I have a room in the inn tonight.
Really? She says, and her eyebrows are kind of, she's looking, you're not quite sure what she's looking.
I'll tell her the proof of the pudding.
Okay. And then, right now, all of a sudden, the man that was sitting here with the loot over his shoulder and a sword at his side leaps to his feet and yells and strikes out at a young man. He would be skinny, teenage-looking, kind of dressed in rags. You perhaps took him for one of the beggars. And there's a shout, and this young kid just goes sprawling on the ground, clutching his face, and there's a quite loud crash of coins as a coin purse falls to the ground. Thief! Says the man at the bar, and is drawing a sword at this point. Askell, Tarquin, we're into rounds. What do you do?
Askell is probably just putting his hands up in a sort of defensive manner. He's not throwing his cutlass or anything. He's just ready to react if required. Probably say to Tarquin, I said, maybe time to leave.
Tarquin would agree and turn to Sister Michelle and say, upstairs or out the door?
I'm leaving. I don't know who you are. This is an awful place. Goodbye.
I think Tarquin would turn to Askell and suggest we slip out the door as well and return to the boat.
Yep, I agree. And follow in quick behind Sister Michelle, possible. Just being wary of the anything that's just about to kick off and making sure we don't get caught in it.
Okay. So several of these large men are getting to their feet and currently blocking. They are intent on the the fracas is happening over here. There's still Sister Michelle is getting to her feet at the stage, as are you. Several of these bigger guys are heading over in the direction where this incident at the corner of the bar is happening. They're currently in between you and the door. They're not making any attempts to approach you or to accost you, but they're in your way currently. What do you do?
I think I'd turn to Askell and suggest we wait for the fracas to die down and we make ourselves as small as possible in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know,
agree.
what does Askell want to do?
Yeah, agree. Yeah, he's still defensive. Stance. Just really watching intently for any sort of openings to slip by, or if anything sort of comes a bit too close.
No, look, the trouble is really over here, and you see the guy with the sword. He had it half drawn, and he then sheathed it, and is now just kicking this kid on the ground, absolutely just belting him. And these big guys are coming over basically to cheer him on. There's definitely an opportunity for you to get up and leave, and at that moment, Sister Michelle just gets up and gives you the chilliest of looks, Tarquin, and stalks out the door.
Right, I think we should slip out while we've got a chance. I think I'd turn to Askell and suggest we slip out while we can.
Yep, Askell will agree. He'll look at the guy kicking the boy on the ground and mumble to himself, lucky bastard, and then follow on.
Okay. Destination?
Home.
Home?
Sure.
Go.
Back to the boot.
Oh, back to the boots. The boots. Okay. Yeah, Landana after dark is not the nicest of places. Pretty unsavory. There's a lot of unpleasant people out and about, but you arrive back safe and sound at the boat.
Are the others still up?
Yeah, it's not that late. We'll head back to the boat.
Right,
and
so
if you guys could jump back into the other room, please.
Yeah, and she could perhaps go out and try and investigate healing for Karios following morning.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone.
Oh, we're back.
We got so drunk.
Graham has made his way to bed, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right. So later, not horrendously later, probably about, all told, maybe hour and a half, 2 hours later. So not middle of the night. The door opens, and both Askell and Tarquin enter.
And I think we'd share our intel. So we'd tell them we had a chat to Sister Michelle. She recommended we go to the Apothecary's Haven and talk to Master Alec. Although he's an expert only in healing herbs, she thought he was the place to start. She noticed that the blind octopus was good for spells. And she also, somewhat surprisingly, talked about the powerful healing in the Temple of Dio. So I think we'd share that information and suggest maybe Dio is the place to head to, as well as the Apothecary's Haven tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Excellent. Yep.
Okay.
Good work.
Askell will point out that we feel we were fairly inconspicuous as well.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the opportunity for an all-in brawl.
Well done on passing that up. Nicholas would, I suppose, in the absence of Graham, I suppose Severin would actually do this, but if I may speak for him, he would want to let Tarquin and true. Yeah, Tarquin and Askell know that Jackin came and visited us, and that he had good news for both parties. For Twilight, he has arranged for the Twilight party to be leaving we must be on the ship at 12 o'clock tomorrow, 12 noon tomorrow. The Twilight party will be then meeting a fisherman called M.E.R.P to travel to Osot, which is where we'll find accommodation until our arrangements in Jedi Rotana and Russ Garrett are arranged. So tomorrow at 12 is when we will part ways, basically. Because that's when Twilight of the Old Order party will be heading off. He also mentioned there's a new person we might be interested in joining our party, the Twilight party. What did we say? He's rather different. He's a bit odd. He has a strange manner, but he also shares the same road as us, or has the same passionate loathing of Tikos, and perhaps the same sort of recent fate. So, sounds like an interesting addition to our party, potentially that we might meet in Osot. For the hero party, he has found a contact for us in Landana, who, given a bit of time, will perhaps arrange for a guide and a party to Tarek Nev, through the swamps of Tarek Nev. It will take a little bit of time and will require payment. So that's the news. Did I miss anything? I thought.
Thank you.
Sorry, hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that the Twilight party are leaving tomorrow at noon. Need to be at this ship, our ship, tomorrow at noon. So if we're going to be following up on healing for Karios, we need to get that done as quickly as possible in the morning. So we've decided it's sort of safer to use Twilight party members out in the city. Tarquin, of course, can still go out, but if we wanted to try and source someone to heal Karios, good.
In which case, to bed early and up early to get to Dio, I guess, is the...
Agreed. Yep.
So, a question from the GM. So there were a couple of ways that tonight could play out. This could, in fact, be the last session. One idea in my head was this was the very last session that the two parties are together. Or, in your mind, is there one more session while the two parties are together?
Sounds like there's a little bit of a session together left.
Agreed.
We stay together forever.
In our hearts.
GM's heart,
We-
though.
This depends on you, GM. We need to get to Dio with Karios, see if they can heal her, and then make our way to the Apothecary's Haven to get intel from Master Alak about whether he can prepare and use our life-regenerating herb or not. And I've got to go at 10 no matter what. So can you do all that in 18 minutes?
Don't think so. But the question is, and perhaps you've answered it for me, is that something that would be handled exclusively or largely exclusively by Team Twilight acting for Team Hero, or is that something that Team Hero would consider doing themselves? That's kind of where I'm getting to. And could we fast time tomorrow morning for Twilight so that they're met and then they head off tomorrow? Or do we want to play one last session to talk through those healing options? Is Twilight instrumental to healing Karios, is the question.
Yes, because they can move around the city safely. We feel they can move around the city more safely. That's my thought.
Yeah, I agree with Pete.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Still there.
I mean, you could split us up because all of the kind of going out in the city is going to be Twilight, so that could be what Twilight does next. But then you're going to have to give Twilight the capacity to take whatever knowledge they have and deliver it to Karios.
All right.
So
We
we'll
still
need to
need
take
Tarquin
Karios
with us.
with us.
All right. Okay. Cool. Well, look. Let's put a definite line through this game tonight with one quick comment from me. One quick wrap up from me. God, the weather in the city's terrible. You all go to sleep on board the boat. You sleep restfully and well. You wake the next morning, hoping, praying for some decent weather. There is no decent weather. It's raining again. And that is where we're going to pick it up next time. So a bit into morning of that next day. The exact date I think is the 5th. The 5th of year. Yes, it is the 5th of year's end, and that's where we're going to pick it up for what presumably will be the last, depending on what happens, the last session that the two parties will be together. Just quickly round everybody present. Anything that characters are doing, saying, would have done overnight. Anything I should be aware of. Yeah, anything that people are doing for that last night together.
I guess particularly Leif, a bit Nicholas, and less so Mithan, but we'd want to acknowledge that to the other party, and sort of mark that perhaps we won't see each other for a while, and we've been through some amazingly stressful and traumatic times together, and so actually acknowledging that would be, with comrades, would be something that Leif in particular would want to do.
Okay. No input, no observations, nothing else from anybody else?
Gray would second that, I'm sure. And just wherever he goes, whichever way he goes, be prepared to say goodbye and, be very grateful for the experience and the camaraderie. How do you say that? Camaraderie-ship?
Comradeship? Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Comradeship.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Nice.
I think, I don't know if it's Askell, but you'd probably notice, is Gray not coming with us?
Alright. Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking to myself, but yes, you're probably best to answer, GM.
I've been waiting. I don't want to speak too much out of turn here, but I've been kind of waiting for Gray's owner, Aiden, to voice that. Maybe. Maybe.
That doesn't count for tonight.
Yeah, maybe leave that, because that's kind of, I see that as being more his purview. Anybody else?
I have a role to make for Nicholas, if I can, for the following morning.
Yeah, sure.
He was doing another attunement on that ring. I believe he had, because he had to wait 24 hours, and I believe he had a plus 10 bonus.
Let me just check. Yes.
I believe. And he now knows what it does.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Give me a roll, please.
74. Unless I was at masked.
It is masked, I'm afraid, Pete. Okay, and his skill with attunement?
54.
He does know what it is. Just coming. Why doesn't the thing load when I need it to? Plus 20 for knowing what it is, plus an additional 10. Yeah. So knowing what it is and that additional 10 was enough Nicholas, you are now attuned to that ring, and you can use its powers.
And he can teach its powers?
He can. He didn't roll well enough to get a plus 95 to teaching, but he rolled well enough to get a plus 75 to teach someone else how to use it.
Cool, thank you.
Does he inform others what it does?
He sure will. I mean, he was planning on doing this anyway. And he has a so this is a plus 20 ring of shock bolt that can be used 3 times per day. And he would be looking at Askell, I believe, when he would sort of share that information. If Askell is essence, and because I believe Askell is perhaps the only one from the Twilight Party who has got a shock bolt skill.
Yep. Yes.
So I wondered, I mean, it's not Nicholas's to determine who it goes to, but I mean, when Karios returns, she doesn't need a plus 20. She doesn't need extra shock bolts, I don't think. I thought that, and this is Nicholas's humble opinion, but if anyone else would want to claim it, that's for the groups to discuss. But in his thinking, it seemed appropriate perhaps to go to Askell, because he's already got a shock bolt skill.
Yeah.
Should we leave that for the next session? Well, I don't think I'm going to be at the next section, which is why I wanted to do that now.
Got it. Thanks, Pete. That's very generous of
So,
you.
yeah, there's a discussion to have, and Nicholas would, if we have time in the next session, he would absolutely be wanting to do training with Askell or whoever receives that. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Any last? So speaking of next session, I just want to check any last actions by anybody else before I roll credits. Oh, okay. So that's it, guys. Gentle viewer, gentle listener, tune in next time.